Well, hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm Preston. Back in the garage today on this foggy, drizzly, dreary day, trying to come up with a way to mount my portable refrigerator into the back of my Jeep. I've field tested it and it works great. The BougeRV refrigerator has done great so far. The only issue I have is trying to access it when using the Jeep. As you can see here, I'm using this platform made by Vector Off-Road. And it works great. It allows you to store items, stack them up above here without interfering with what's below and without having to, stack everything really high. So it's great if you have something down here like a portable fridge or some sort of container that you want to access. But my only issue is I can't open it while it's in here. I need to pull the fridge out. And that's a little bit tricky when it's loaded down and you want to access it. And I found this great deal on a fridge slide by a company called Camco. They make this excellent fridge slide that's designed, I think, to go into RVs or some other setup, but it was the only one I saw that had really the dimensions to handle the BougeRV fridge. The BougeRV fridge I have is made to be portable. It has wheels and a handle, but I figured it's easier to make that into a non-portable fridge than it would be to make a non-portable one into a portable one. So I can easily take those wheels off and make it kind of a permanent setup if I want it to be. But I didn't want to just mount this. I was trying to come up with a way to mount this fridge slide into the back of the Jeep JL. I had looked up some videos, seen things other people have done, and I know about the custom-made platforms that are out there for the Jeep, such as Goose Gear. And my only issue is, it's great. I want to be able to maintain accessing the little space that's underneath the floor for storage, but it's just kind of pricey in my opinion, just for what it is, basically just a plank, a very nicely made plank that's designed to work with this. And if you get the system for the seat delete, I think that's where it really comes into play and it's worth getting. But I want to be able to still use the back seat, so that wasn't going to work. So getting the full system wouldn't make a lot of sense, and to pay $600 just for the back end, it really got me starting to think, you know what, I could probably come up with some sort of way to mount this that wouldn't involve all that, that would be sturdy, that would be good for off-road use with the fridge, the weight of the fridge, and this slide. This slide is actually pretty heavy, but it's a very, very sturdy made fridge slide. So I took a lot of those ideas from what I saw in different videos and from what the companies have done, and I've kind of made my own platform or plank or floor for the back of the Jeep Wrangler JL. I haven't fully finished it. I still got some kinks to work out here. I'm still trying to mount the fridge slide onto this, but this is what I have right here. This is basically a piece of 3/4 inch plywood that's cut to 36 by 29 inches, and it fits back here very well. I've taken a piece of rubber. This is a rubber mat that's used for exercise equipment that I got at Home Depot as well. I happened to just spot it there. I didn't know how I was going to cover it. I was thinking of using carpeting, but I saw this there, and you can see here it's like made to simulate diamond plating metal, but it's rubber, and it's very practically thin. I like this because it adds some grip, and I think it actually looks pretty good back here. I've taken this plywood and I've drilled holes for the factory anchor mounts, and I'm using that on this side, but on the other side over here I'm using just some fasteners to anchor the platform to the factory fasteners on this side, the factory rib nuts that are in there for these anchor points. And that was my issue before, is I was going to just mount the fridge slide to those, but then it wouldn't have anything here in the middle to anchor to. And I thought maybe, figure out a way to anchor it to the factory platform that's already back here, the carpeted one that flips open. But I don't think that would have been a good option. It's not really anchored down to this. It kind of just slides in and clips in. And I didn't think that would be strong enough to hold the weight of the fridge and the slide and be able to handle the forces going off-roading and whatnot. But getting a platform back here for that to attach to seemed to me to be the right option. Now I just need to figure out how to mount the fridge slide to this. And it comes with, the Camco fridge slide comes with its own hardware, and it looks like it's made to mount to like a wood type platform or fiberglass or something. It comes with these little T inserts, T-threads, I don't know what you call them exactly, but so far it looks like it'll work with this. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to fit it in here. I still want to be able to use the carpeted insert here so that when I fold the seats down, it's got one flush surface or somewhat flush surface. I mean, with the Goose Gear, you're supposed to take that out anyway, and that leaves you with kind of a gap. Goose Gear's platform kind of covers that a little bit. They've made theirs a little bit longer than I've made this. I've cut this specifically to fit within that area, just this area. And I also want to be able to still use the little cover here that they've cut out, places for you to put your fasteners for your door and your roof and your windshield, and still be able to access the jack that's underneath here. Now see, it takes a little bit of finagling, but you can still get back in here and access your jack, your factory jack. And you might say, well, are you still going to be able to use that since I have 37-inch tires and a 2.5-inch lift? But the lift kit I installed comes with a jack base that'll help you still use your factory jack, which is, to me, that's the easiest way to be able to do that. I'll put this back in here. Let's see. My first time actually doing this. All right. But it's there, and you can still use it. Now, it may not be covered, so these things might, I don't know, fly up, depending on how hard you're driving it, but I do kind of like this here. It's just, the Goose Gear system gets rid of this altogether. They put their own little proprietary cover here, but then you can't access that jack anymore. But I still also wanted to be able to access that little cubby there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a hole out of this, and I bought a access hatch that's usually made for boats or boating or RVs. I bought it off eTrailer, and it just arrived. Magic of editing. It just arrived, and this should allow me to still access that area there. You can see here it's got a little latch, and it's actually weather sealed. There's a weather stripping there. Now this one I can't lock, but I don't really need it to lock. I'm not rolling without the top on very often, or have anything so valuable in there. I don't want it to be stolen, can't replace, but it is nice. This is very sturdy. It's made to have some weight on it. It's going to go right about here. So just kind of roughly test fitting. Slide's going to be about here. I locked it. I really like this fridge slide. It is so durable. It's very beefy. And so that'll be there. Then I can still access the cubby here, somewhere in here. And that's going to be the tough part, is trying to figure out where exactly I need to cut this so that I can have the greatest access to that hole. I'll put a link in the description to this if anyone's interested. It's roughly 10 inches by 12.5, I think. I'll put that as well. But you have to be careful because the actual, let me put this up, because the actual cutout is different than, the actual space this is going to use. But that I'm going to work on and try to finish this up right now. What I really like about this fridge too is the drawer will lock all the way, and it's got this physical, another lock, kind of a fail-safe. I just want to point out that on this side, I'm using longer bolts than the factory ones. These are actually the factory fasteners that are underneath these anchor points. They were long enough to work on this side. I had to put an indentation in here so the fridge slide would work on top of these fasteners here. That's how these ended up being long enough. On this side, you're going through almost the entire thing, the entire piece of plywood and the rubber covering, so I needed slightly longer bolts there. You can see here the plywood on the back side, and these are the T inserts. I added some washers here by each of these nut certs on top of them to kind of have this sit more flush, because this piece of plastic here raises up a good almost 1/4 of an inch. So that way when it fastens down, it fastens flush to those, and you're not putting any extra stress or bending of the platform, although I think it kind of arches here just a tad. You can see here, this is where this is going to be. That's perfect. Okay, just for reference, this is the side that the storage cubby is in. I'm going to flip this over and mark where that is. Okay, that is roughly where the storage space lies. Now I'm going to overlay the door on top of it, and I'm going to lay it roughly where that is. It's not going to be exact. This will give me where I need to cut. Okay, it's not an exact science, but I kind of have the outline I need to go on to cut the hole. What I think I'll do is straighten these corners, make them 90-degree angles. I'm going to drill holes in each 4 of those corners, and I have 2 different ideas. I have an air saw. I'm not sure if I have a smaller compressor. I'm not sure if it's powerful enough to run it, or I can use an angle grinder. I don't have the proper cutting equipment for carpentry to do this. I have a miter saw, but that's probably not going to work in this application. I don't have like a jigsaw or a router, so I'm just having to improvise here. So I was in luck, and my 15-year-old 2-horsepower air compressor is enough to power this. We'll see how this goes. Doesn't quite want to cut it once the tanks get too low. I might need to let the air tanks fill up some. It's only got 4 gallons tanks, so. All right, plan B, angle grinder. We're gonna start a fire. It smells like campfire. Don't worry, fire extinguisher's on hand. That air saw, I think, would be better if it just had more juice behind it. All right, moment of truth. And I thought I'd cut it too big. Yes. All right. Oh no. Because this is so close to this lip, the glue that was there doesn't want to hold that down. All right, this isn't even any sort of wood paint. This is just spray paint. It's actually rust reformer. It paints on black. I don't want any wood showing through there. A little OCD, but I want it to look nice, you know. Okay, fast forward about an hour and a half or so. I let this sit here to kind of dry, and I used this light here as a clamp to hold that rubber mat tight with the glue, with the construction adhesive. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and take all this off and finally fasten the access hatch door to this and finally get it in the Jeep. Yeah, it's much better. I like that better. These are number 10 by 1 inch flat Phillips head wood screws. It's not wanting to close. Just needed some convincing. It is pretty snug. Bit to open it, actually, that needs to be like that. As you can see, it pushes up against that. Probably because I didn't get this cut exactly right, but with a little bit of, see if this just bends a little, it's able to bend a little bit. Then it'll can lock or latch. To push it up against that a little bit. Get that to line up. It's a snug fit. It almost doesn't come out just because of how snug it is. All right, let's see. Voila! Oh, that's a little bit too far this way, but hey, you can basically access it. That's not too bad. Fits really good and snug. Got these fasteners here. Sometimes these don't like to stay closed. That can still be used. And they also hold down the platform. This is nice and flush. I like that. It does kind of stick up, but it's kind of at the same height, maybe a little bit higher. Yeah, but that'll kind of help even it out. That's the only thing. I mean, it would be really nice if this was just flush. Part of what you pay for if you get the goose gear system, or if you got better carpentry cutting tools, wood cutting tools than I have, that might be the way to go. Although this is kind of nice in a way too, because it's very nice. I like this latch. But anyway, let's get the fridge slide in here. This is going to be probably the tricky part, making sure these all line up and that we don't push the T inserts all the way through, because then we'd have to take all of this out. On these first ones, I'm going to actually use the original, what came with the Camco slide, but I don't know if you can see it, but there's a gap because the back part of this is resting on this, which is higher. So I'm going to have to, I bought a bunch of spacers, or I'm sorry, a bunch of washers to space that out back there. That way there's not that gap there. I'm fast forwarding through this last part as it involved a lot of trial and error coming up with the right number of washers to use on each fastener in order to keep the slide level, and the T inserts were not cooperating as well. Many of them were getting pushed out the underside of the plate, and I had to take the plate out a couple of times to reinsert them and rethread them. This was pretty cumbersome and tedious, but once I had it all worked out, the result was well worth it. Well, fast forward to another day, and after finagling with this thing a little bit more, I think I finally got it to where I want it to be. It is extremely stout. Those T nuts, or whatever they're called, they can be quite a pain, because if they don't line up exactly right with the bolt and they don't want to thread, then they fall out of position, and then I had to take this entire thing out twice. T-nuts that had fallen out, or that threaded wrong, and then they just would not thread. So that was quite a pain. But here you can see now it's rock solid. Oh, this is exactly what I was envisioning. I still have the functionality, the underfloor storage right here. Just open that. Voila! Tons of room. I mean, actually, this doesn't go as deep as the non-392 ones, I believe, but there still is quite a bit of storage here, and I'm glad I'm able to still take advantage. Now, of course, with this, there is nothing going that way. There is a little bit, but I kind of lose access to that. That actually helped access some of the T-nuts that I needed to see what was going on. I was able to look in there. I've already seen if this will fit. You can see it is a pretty tight fit back there, but it fits. And the fridge if you have something that's as long as the entire tray, that's probably not going to work because the seats are slanted. But I've already test fitted the fridge in here loosely before it was all fastened and buttoned down, and it did fit. Now I do need to see if it works with fully installed, so that's something I'm going to do here. For the purposes of putting it in here, this will not fit in that tray with these wheels, but it fits perfectly without them. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off. Now you're still left with this kind of axle or cylinder, and you can take that out. All you got to do is take these fasteners here. This panel comes out, and you just kind of carefully, there's some wires in there, and you kind of twist it and finagle it out. Not sure if I'll do that right now. I just might want to just test fit it. Putting that fridge directly on this platform tends to scratch it, which, I mean, it's not that big a deal. It's sitting underneath it, but I am going to take some of that the rubber mat that I used for this that I have left over. I'm going to put a few pieces down here to keep this from scratching. Go ahead and place the fridge here. Now the Camco fridge slide comes with some straps so you can tie your fridge down. I'm just going to push this thing back. right, it's a tight fit, but it fits. There's not a whole lot of room there for the straps, but there is room, so that's good. It's locked into place. It fits underneath the roto packs. You can see that's very close there. In fact, that'll probably touch that if it bounces. Also, here's where it is with the back seats. It's right up against it. That's all right. It's still got a carpeted side back there and plenty of room for the plug. And what's cool about the BougeRV portable refrigerator is that you can reverse which way the lid opens if you want. So if you want it to open facing, say, the stove or the tailgate table, that's all you got to do. So you could have your little tailgate going here. A little tight to work with, but you could have it sitting right here. Actually, what would be ideal is they make one that has a dual door that pops up, so that way you wouldn't have to, you could have it in as far as this and open that side. I think I'm going to have the lid open this way most of the time, because usually what I'm trying to do is, you know, you run into a convenience store, you want to load it up real quick. You just want quick and easy access. And you don't want to have to, I mean, if I need to set something down, I can pull the table open, but that's what I'm looking for right here. This was quite cumbersome without the fridge slide when I've used it in the past. That's one way to create a do-it-yourself rear plate system for the Jeep Wrangler JL Unlimited. I hope you found this useful, and I hope it has inspired you to go out and create your own do-it-yourself projects, or to go out and buy your own. I must say, so far I'm pretty happy with it. I still need to field test it and get a lot of gear in here. I did try to test fit a few items in here. So anyway, if you enjoyed this or found it useful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.